Hi everybody, this is Andrew, also known as the Gnome, and I'm here for another one of my backyard do-it-yourself pay less strongman tips. And today it's going to be about how to make an axle out of basically spare stuff you have lying around your gym. We're going to make an axle like that for a couple reasons. Number one, axles aren't too expensive, but they're still a couple bucks, and also a lot of people don't have room for two bars. Right now I have to put all my stuff into a 6-foot shed, so I need, I don't have a lot of space, so I'm kind of combining my 6-foot bar that I bought, just a cheapo one at Walmart, with some extra pipe I had laying around, and trying to make an axle out of it. You can also do this with PVC pipe. I'm using steel pipe just because I had some, and it's a little bit better, but here's all you need. Start off with your trusty old beater bar. Every gym has a bar that has a little bend in it from where some idiot dropped it in the squat rack, or the knurling's bad, or both. A lot of times that bar just kind of sits over there in the corner. Sometimes people do squats with it because it feels good on your back, but generally it's useless. And this might bring it a new use. You're also going to need, to set this down, a piece of pipe. I'm using just general steel pipe you can find at a hardware store. A lot of times for pieces this short you might be able to find some scrap somewhere, somebody give it to you or whatever. I'm using 1.25 inches, which is going to make an 1.5 inches outside diameter, I think. I'm sure Landrich is probably going to comment here and tell everybody the exact grip size on it. I'm using that for three reasons, I'm sorry. One is I got these little monkey hands. Again, I'm sure people are going to comment. Second off, it's what I had sitting around. Wasn't going to go buy any. And third off, I'm actually going to also use it for plate storage. So when I'm not using it for an axle, I'm going to sit in there, use it to stack my Olympic plates up in the shed. You will also need a wrench, or whatever means it is to get the sleeve off of your bar. Go buy one of these. It's like $3 at a hardware store. It's just a big Allen key that fits in that big hex wrench at the end of the cheap bars. You will need tape measure. Set this down. Tape measure, Sharpie. You will also need a pipe cutter or hacksaw. Pipe cutter is, of course, much easier. I just forgot it at home, or forgot it at work, so I had to wind up using this hacksaw and spend 10 minutes hacking this piece of pipe away. Don't comment. All right, first thing you do is take your bar, measure from inside of collar to inside of collar. Now, there's an important part of this later. I've already done this, so it came out to be 46 inches. This is the most important part of the whole thing. You're going to take and measure out the piece of pipe here. When you measure it out, add at least 1/8 to 1/4 inch, because you're going to come up short if you don't add that little bit. All right, so once you've measured it, marked it, you go out, cut it. Again, PVC is a lot easier, and the pipe cutter is a lot easier, but I had to sit and play with the hacksaw for a while here for tonight. So, all right, got my pipe, got my bar. Simply remove the hex wrench top. Be careful when you take these off, because these cheap bars just use washers kind of as a way to spin them, and sometimes there's 2 or 3 or 4. It's 2, 3, 4 so far. 4. So we can take those out, don't lose them, because this bar is going to still have its original use, which is my yard Olympic bar. Remove the sleeve. Place the pipe on. return the sleeve. These are always a pain to line up. Don't know how long I've been doing this and I still can't quite get it right. Take your hex wrench. First you just finger tight it on. Take your hex wrench. Tighten it up. You might have to play with it a little bit to get it roughly centered. Now this is where that extra 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch comes in, because if you don't do that, it winds up not meeting the bar and it just kind of sits there hopelessly. So again, this is a little bit small just because it's what I had. You know, go out and get an 1.5-inch pipe if you can, you know, or 2-inch. I wouldn't get 2-inch because then you can't use it for the plate stack. And now we have our axle. In a couple minutes I will load it up with some weight and just give it a try. Thanks a lot. See you in a bit.